President Biden a short time ago, wrapping up a call with key allies about the war in Ukraine, of course, the weapons needed, and continued economic pressure on Russia. That call lasted just about an hour and a half. With me now to share her insights is Heather Conley. She's a former U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of State and right now is the president of the German Marshall Fund. Heather, grateful for your time today. So the president's on the phone. We can show you the other leaders on the call. Some of them are from NATO, the Prime Minister of Japan on as well, other European leaders. Hour and 24 minutes. As we know, we are entering into a new phase in this war. From your context, what is on the table? Let's start with militarily. Is the United States, are the European allies willing to do anything different in this next phase in terms of heavier weaponry or more direct NATO involvement, from your knowledge?
Well, John, great to be with you. Absolutely. We just saw an announcement by the Dutch government this morning that they're flowing in heavier defensive equipment. We are now seeing the allies understand we are now in a more decisive phase of the conflict. And this is going to be, as General Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, said, this is the long slog, and we have to prepare, our allies have to prepare for that long slog policy. The challenge, John, has been that we simply don't have an agreed end state with our allies. The first phase of this war was just Ukrainian survival, making sure that the government was able to remain in place and repel these Russian forces. This is a different phase, and we have to continue to not only provide military equipment to the Ukrainian government, we have to now cripple the Russian economy. So you have the European Union now really talking aggressively about a ban on Russian oil. We are going to have to try to cripple Russia to prevent them from providing additional equipment to their forces in Donbass. But this is going to be a very long and difficult phase. Everyone should get ready for images that will look like they're coming right out of the pages of the Second World War.
Well, as we unfortunately prepare for images like that and prepare for an armored tank battle, armored vehicle battle on what is essentially the farmland in eastern Ukraine, you just mentioned the economy. We have seen some evidence from Russian officials that the sanctions are having some effect. But as you note, if you want to really hit Putin's economy, if you really want to cause stress on the Russian people that might cause some anxiety in Putin's Kremlin, you need to cut off gas and you need to cut off oil. Who in the European alliance is holding that up? It's obviously would be incredibly painful. It would be more painful for Germany. It would be painful for Italy. What is the status of that? Is there any hope of that?
Well, I think we have a couple of holdouts in the European Union. Hungary has refused to consider banning Russian energy. Austria and Germany, although they have declared that they are planning to phase out Russian dependency on energy, the phase out is simply too slow. The European Union High Representative Josep Borrell said last week that while the EU was flowing over €1 billion in defensive equipment to Ukraine, they're paying the Russian government €30 billion over the last month in energy. This is what we have to cut off. But John, you are right. The sanctions are now really going to start pinching the Russian economy. The head of the Russian central bank just said yesterday that basically she's done her best to stabilize the ruble, which she has. But now between the technology, they can't get supplied parts, they can't get supply chains going. U.S. and European companies that are leaving Russia are causing unemployment. So that pain is going to be slower, but it's going to hit. But Vladimir Putin doesn't care. He is going to continue to punish Ukraine. He has not changed his war objectives one bit. He's prepared for the pain, and he's challenging Europe and the United States and other allied countries. Are we ready to accept the pain for Ukraine?
One item on the table, President Zelensky would like this. Some others have suggested it as well, which would be labeling Russia now a state sponsor of terrorism because of what we see, the horrible pictures we see every day out of Ukraine. We just want to show you that list. It's Syria, Iran, North Korea, Cuba. You would be on a list of rogue nations. It would make Russia more of a pariah. Is there any tangible impact, or is it just international shame if the Biden administration were to agree to that?
I feel like this is more symbolic of exactly calling the Russian regime the rogue that it is. It would certainly prevent really any meaningful diplomatic relations, although we've so minimized diplomatic relations with the diminishment of our diplomatic staff. It would be hard to say, but I would much rather focus on in continuing to flow significant military equipment to Ukraine. We're flowing it now. Wish it would have been there 6 months ago to really help the Ukrainian military fight these Russian forces. But really the action is looking at the European Union and having to suspend those energy payments to Russia and really making sure potentially Russia defaults, a sovereign default on its debt, bringing that economic pain, slowing that Russian war machine, and trying to give Ukraine the ability to defend itself. That's where we need to keep our eye on the prize.
Heather Conley, the German Marshall Fund, grateful for your time as always. Thank you.